I'm Carl Hanni. I currently live in Tucson, Arizona. I run a music publicity company called Mod Media Publicity, and I'm a long-term member of the Pander Brothers posse. I know the Pander Brothers from the early 1980s when they were young ones, and they were hanging around the Fuse Gallery, I believe is when I first met Arnold and Jakob. The art scene in Portland in the late 80s and early 90s was very DIY. I know it's kind of a cliche, but it really was. But it was always characterized by a lot of crossover between art and music. And, Arnold and Jakob, of course, would do murals for the backdrop of Satyricon. They did a lot of stuff at the Fuse Gallery. They did a lot of stuff at Brabati's. It was like a lot of kids on bicycles riding around in the rain between gigs, but it was very scruffy, very underground. And then eventually there was inevitably a crossover with the political flavor of the day. Whenever anyone would come from out of any of the big politicos from out of town, there was always some big protest going on, and some of them got pretty huge, and big police presence would come in with their batons and their tear gas and start kicking everyone's ass around. My relationship to Triple X International is that I was around when those guys were drawing that. And I'm telling you, they spent years sitting in their apartments drawing that thing painstakingly. Until you've watched comic book artist at work, it's easy to take it for granted how easy it is to do what they do. Before that, they were known for Grindle and a couple of other things pre-Triple X. But I think once that came out, it really knocked a lot of people's heads out to sea. I think that the book was clearly influenced by their travels in Europe, and particularly their time they spent in Amsterdam, of course, where their family originated. And at that time, of course, Europe had a lot of anarchist protest, a real strong movement of people taking to the streets to protest various injustices and causes. Police state tactics, the sort of muting of the media, the conglomeration of mass media together to bigger and bigger entities. And so the Triple X like totally reflects that back through their own like Pander Brothers visual vision. But it's really easy to tie everything together from what was going on in Portland with all the street riots and protests here to what was going on all over Europe at the time. And then they took that and then projected ahead to the future. So it's a really interesting hybrid between taking subjects that are relevant in like 1985 or 88 or 92 and then projecting them ahead into the future. And it's distressingly and depressingly prescient. I mean, it looks today like what they were projecting ahead may very well be our future. I think that Triple X would appeal to, I think it has probably a really broad appeal. Anyone that's interested in the global political situation, certainly. Anyone that has any interest in particular sort of, subversive or anarchistic, politics would certainly find a lot to love in the book. But it's also like a great yarn at the same time too. It's a great tale, because they've always been really good about telling exciting stories with lots of action. And I mean, let's face it, like in their work, stuff happens. There's not like big long downtime in the Pander Brothers work. It's fast